James is going to give a little review of what happened yesterday afternoon, and then subsequently tell you something about his special efforts with his project. James Edwards.
Well, Leonard, that went remarkably smoothly. When Bill Lord introduced me last year, it made headlines. So where is Bill at? Is he in the room today? Bill's not allowed to introduce me anymore. Well, yeah, as Leonard mentioned, we did have a great day yesterday. I know some of our people have to work for a living, unlike the left, and not everyone could be here, but a majority of you were. And I really like the change of pace. I've been coming to these things for a number of years now, and yesterday was the first time that I had been able to participate in a panel, although I know that the council had conducted them before in previous years. But I was really excited about it. There was, as Leonard mentioned yesterday, the bulk of the program on Friday dealt with these 3 different panels, and the panels were put together. Of course, as he mentioned, I was the moderator of one dealing with communication, so as you can imagine, that was the most enlightening panel and the most entertaining. But there was another one dealing with the media. Mine dealt with communication, and we also had one that talked about the need to reach our youth. And as Leonard said, I mean, I don't know what more I can really say that he didn't, except to echo the fact that these panels did an amazing job. It exceeded my expectations, and of course I didn't know what to expect because I'd never been a part of something like this before. But the Council of Conservative Citizens really has a very talented membership base, and the people who took part on these panels were, of course, Miles Wappen, Dr. Miles Wappen, Gordon Baum, Bill Rowland, John Raderink, Joel Lefevre, Kyle Rogers, Anthony Bohr, Leonard, Nathan Rager, Dr. Chris Cummins, and Mark Palazzola. A lot of talent right there, and this is the foundation and infrastructure of the whole organization, and I think we are certainly on the right path to building something, or to continue to build something. I know this is now our 20th anniversary here in the council. But if yesterday was any indication, things are going well, things are going good, things are moving forward. But most importantly, I want to take a opportunity here to thank everyone for attending my birthday party. My birthday is tomorrow. I was born June 22nd, 1980, and for the last 4 years I've been trying to coordinate with Gordon to have one of these things on my birthday. So we finally got it arranged, and this is let me tell you, this is the biggest turnout I've ever had for one of my parties. So I appreciate you all coming here. And birthdays, I'm a guy who likes to reflect a lot. I think back, I reminisce, you know, the way things were. So birthdays are a time of reflection for me. And I can remember anytime a birthday comes around, I like to think back, you know, when I was younger, family, friends, things of that nature. And I was thinking about being in the first grade a couple of days ago. This is my birthday week. And so back in first grade, you know how it goes in those days. The teacher asks you, you don't do much in first grade. And this was before I started homeschooling, so I was in a private Christian academy at the time. But one day during class, the teacher asked, and there was only 8 kids in my class, so that went by real quick, but the teacher asked us to all come up, and she asked us what we wanted to be when we grew up. And typical first grade answers, one of my classmates wanted to be an astronaut, one wanted to be a fireman, one wanted to be a policeman, and then it was my turn to come up. And he said, James, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, well, Miss Cawthorn, I want to be a right-wing extremist. And it just goes to show that if you work hard and you put your faith in the good Lord, that dreams really can come true. And much more than that, I think, thanks to y'all, I've really become a world-renowned racist, as a matter of fact. But so I even exceeded my expectations there as well. But, of course, that's not what we are. That's the kind of horrible character defamations that the enemies would have us be called. But we know what we are, and we know what we're doing is right and pure and just. And what we are middle Americans. We're white working-class Christians. We are the foundation and the backbone of this country, and meeting here is essential. What we're doing is essential. But all kidding aside, it's great to be back here at the Council of Conservative Citizens. As I mentioned, this is my 4th year in a row to speak, and God willing, we're going to have 4 more years together, if not more. And apparently somebody, maybe it's you, Leonard, somebody must really like me, because this is the 3rd time I've had the opportunity to speak this weekend. And I'm going to try hard to to not repeat myself and come up with some new material here, but I do have some encouraging updates with regards to our program in Memphis, and I'm going to share those with you. But I first want to make mention of the fact that this organization, the membership of this organization, I've bragged on y'all before. You've really played an integral role in the development of my radio program. You're very much part of the reason why we've become so world-renowned. And I want to let you know how sincerely grateful I am from my heart for all you have done for me and our work there in Memphis. We wouldn't be here without you. And before I go any further, I want to specifically acknowledge a couple of people that are here, a couple of men that are among my very best friends. They're my brothers in arms. I love them very much. If it wasn't for their contributions, there would be no Political Cesspool radio program. I know one of them's here in the room right now. Eddie Bombardier Miller, can you stand up, please? Bill Rowland also, of course, co-hosts the program with me. I guess Bill's hungover. I don't see him in the room right now. But if you get a chance over the course of the rest of the afternoon, please talk to Eddie and Bill and let them know how much you appreciate their service. And also, of course, my wife, without whose support and love, there would be no James Edwards. So Danny Edwards, everybody, stand up. Well, what can I say? The Political Cesspool radio program is back. We're stronger than ever. And believe it or not, as I made mention of yesterday, we now have a larger listening audience than at any time in our history. And just a quick poll, if I could be so bold. How many people have listened to the Political Cesspool on the radio? Show of hands. All right, that's pretty good. How many have never listened? What in the hell's the matter with you? Yeah, exactly. Well, luckily for you, our broadcast archives are available on the Internet. You got a lot of catching up to do at thepoliticalcesspool.org. But as most of you know, the show debuted on October 26, 2004. We have aired over 800 live broadcasts and counting, 800 of the most unapologetic pro-white talk on the AM radio in the country. We've interviewed everyone from Pat Buchanan to Gary Puckett and everybody in between. Our guest list is truly a tour de force. Of course, on February 15th, 2008, we temporarily ceased live production, although we were never really off the air, through syndication and internet radio and replays being aired on the local AM frequency. Our broadcast archives were being aired every night. But we did take a couple of months off to just kind of catch a second wind. But it didn't take long for me to feel an immediate void, both in my personal life, and I think there was also a void in the movement. Without us anchoring down the AM radio, there should be at least one AM radio program in this country that's speaking for the majority. And I'm proud to provide that voice. It was, in fact, my duty to do this, I believe. And listen, I don't claim to be the best spokesman for our cause. I don't claim, I never went to journalism school. I never studied to be in broadcasting. But I have guts, and guts and a willingness to serve is enough. But we made that decision to return, and of course, after talking with my wife and my family members, I went to a couple of other gentlemen who I go to for counsel in times like these, one of which just walked in the room, Sam Dixon. Sam Dixon is a mentor of mine. We're very lucky to have him. I'm very honored to be able to call you my friend. Thank you, Sam, for all you've done for me. And there were a couple of other guys that I put in Sam's league, one of which being Joe McCutcheon, who you might have heard if you've listened to our program. Joe's been on the front lines of the fight to secure our borders for the last 40 years, and he came through Memphis shortly before we made the public announcement that we would be returning to the air. Now, I was a little bit apprehensive. I said, Joe, I really want to do this. He thought it was a good idea, but I said, I don't know how the audience will react. We haven't been doing live shows for a couple of months. I don't know how hard it's going to be to rebuild the audience. And he said, James, they'll come right back. And they did. And thank you for doing that. And, of course, we have the support of the council and all of these other great organizations, Stormfront and so many others that are really helping us within our own movement. But I'm also very grateful that we have the support of WLRM Radio, our flagship station in Memphis. I mean, the management and ownership of this station is absolutely 100% behind our freedom of speech. And so much so, in fact, that when we took our break from live broadcasting in February, that a couple of other programs that air on that station threatened to leave if we didn't come back live because we have such a robust audience, it was carrying over into their time slots. And so Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, this program is very well respected, very well revered, and it took 3.5 years of very, very hard work to carve our reputation. And we try to anchor everything that we do with professionalism and consistency. And during that time, it's been very well documented that we have seen victory and defeat, relentless attacks, and critical acclaim. There's been a lot of highlights. Every show is a victory as far as I'm concerned. Every time we take to the microphones, it's a counterattack against the controlled media. It's a salvo in this culture war. And I'm excited to be able to broadcast knowing that we have so many listeners tuned in at any given time. But much more than that, we're a show that has produced results. As I've spoken about in previous conferences, this show really saved, our listening audience saved 3 Confederate parks in downtown Memphis back in 2005. Shortly after that, believe it or not, there was a Memphis City Councilman who was I don't guess it should surprise you. It shouldn't surprise you, but there was a Memphis City Councilman that was a supporter of the program, and he named the hosting staff honorary Memphis City Councilman, and he, in fact, went on to give the radio show itself a certificate of recognition for outstanding contributions to the community. This is an elected official that did that. And so we don't deliver a message that's to the margins. We deliver a message that's to the mainstream, and we've been recognized for that. As Anthony mentioned, Bill mentioned it yesterday in his remarks, CNN has had us on a few times. And I do want to echo one thing Anthony said yesterday. I really wish that Gordon and Tom and the rest of the board here at the council would really put forth a lobbying effort to put Paula Zahn back on the air on CNN. I'd really like to be back on television one day, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen without her. So can you get to work on that, Leonard? We'll see about it. But why did CNN call us? Why did CNN call the political cesspool? It's because we've separated ourselves from the pack, and we've broken through into the mainstream. We've provided results, and we've done so in a way that it's hard to be maligned, although you're never going to stop some people from doing that. We've been viciously hated by our enemies and respected by our peers. We have, in fact, become the voice of the movement. And how did that happen? Well, if you ask 4 different guys, you'll get 4 different answers. But I'd like to believe that divine providence favors those with a servant's heart, and that's what we've got. It's been a great week for me so far. The week actually got started a little bit in advance of the conference here, which is, of course, always a highlight of my year. I set my calendar by these things. The 2 or 3 occasions a year we have an opportunity to come and be amongst so many people of like mind. And it's important for so many reasons, for fellowship, for morale, momentum. You get this many bright and good-looking individuals in a room, ideas present themselves, solutions become apparent. But before I even came down here, I had the opportunity to get to know a man a little bit better in Memphis that I have respected for quite some time, Dr. Tom Sunick. Dr. Tom Sunick, you'll be hearing from later this afternoon. He came into Memphis on Tuesday to ride down to the conference with me. I tell you what, Tom, I don't know if you can remember all that we did, because we did quite a bit, but we had a absolutely great time. We went out with Keith Alexander, who's a local attorney in Memphis who provides our legal advice for the program, and he's occasional guest host. But he gave us a great tour of Memphis, and where all did we go? Sun Studios, we went to Graceland, we went to Orchard and picked fruit. But the most important stop of all was a stop to Nathan Bedford Forrest's gravesite, which I make a point when anybody comes to Memphis to visit me, count on going to Forrest's monument. And, let's talk about Nathan Bedford Forrest for a brief second, because I think this is a guy that everyone should strive to emulate. You look at people like Robert E. Lee, and I don't want to sound blasphemous, but Robert E. Lee was almost Christ-like, and I believe that second to Jesus Christ, there probably was no greater man than Robert E. Lee. But Nathan Bedford Forrest, I guess I have more in common to. He was born into Tennessee, kind of a roughneck, a rabble-rouser, of course, but he is more, you could compare him to a mythological god. And in fact, on his tombstone, it reads, and I'm paraphrasing here, he strikes like a titan and fought like a god. His ashes are the dust of our glory. And what do we know about Forrest? He was born into an impoverished family. He was uneducated, born in rural Middle Tennessee, rose to become a self-made millionaire in business. And then, after becoming a millionaire, donates a great deal of his wealth to outfit the Confederate troops, buying them shoes and arms and munitions. Then enlists as a private of the lowest rank. And then without ever going to any sort of military school. He wasn't trained at West Point. He was self-educated. Rose to become one of the greatest generals in the history of warfare, the father of the Blitzkrieg. His tactics are still practiced today. That's who we should strive to be. And people ask me, well, aren't you afraid when you do the radio show? You're so high profile. Aren't you afraid that you'll get hurt? Aren't you? What about your job? What about your family? Do you worry? What about the public attacks from the ADL and the Southern Poverty Law Center? Do I worry about these things? Of course, absolutely, I'm human. Of course I do. But the point is, and I've said this before, and this is something a friend said to me when I asked him how he dealt with it. He said that the price that we must pay with regards to these horrible personal attacks pale in comparison to the price of blood and bone that our ancestors invested so we could be here today. People like Nathan Bedford Forrest and Stonewall Jackson, who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our people. How in the hell can we do any less? There's a recent ADL article that came out after we resumed live operations on June 1st. We came back on the air. The very next week, the ADL had written an article attacking the return of the political cesspool. And literally every fourth word was either anti-Semite, Nazi, racist, supremacist, xenophobe, or homophobe. Read it for yourself. I was very proud of it. But I found it ironic after reading that they have the audacity to call themselves the Anti-Defamation League. But we're old hands at this now. And we've been in business. We've been on the air. It's not a business, believe me. It's a volunteer effort. But we've been on the air for 4 years now. And so these things are commonplace. But what do we do? What do I do when we're attacked like this? Do I retreat? Do I surrender? Do I apologize, as so many lesser men have done? And you know who I'm talking about, people like Trent Lott. Do we do that? Well, that's what's natural. It's what's natural to do when you're under fire, is to run for cover, to hide, to survive, to weather the storm. But that's not how we do things in Memphis with the political cesspool program. That's not the way the Council of Conservative Citizens does things. We dig in with everything we've got. We hold our ground because, as I said, our message is pure. Our cause is just. You will never hear me say, I'm very sorry. I am not sorry for anything that I've said on the radio because I believe it to be true in my heart. I will not say I'm sorry for being a white Christian because I don't think that we owe anyone. We don't owe any of the other races a damn dime. And we use our radio program as a forum and as a venue to engage in this battle, in this culture war. And we reach thousands of people on a nightly basis, and they're coming to fight with us. Now, I didn't set out to be in radio. My political activism has been a broken road. I just feel as though God has opened up this door for me, and it's the way that I can best apply myself right now. If there was another way that I could be of more service, that's what I would do. And 4 years ago, I wouldn't have said to you what I'm about to say now, because at the time I just hadn't been baptized in that fire. I don't feel as though it was appropriate for me to speak to you in such a way. But I think that the scars that I now carry allow me to speak with you bluntly. And the leaders of our movement, the men of our movement, we have got to have bigger balls in this day and age if we're ever going to prevail. And we shouldn't fear the enemies. We shouldn't fear the things our enemies are going to call us. They are never going to be for us. They are never going to stand with us. And if they aren't calling us these things, we should be worried that we're doing something wrong. And we ought not be concerned with what we might lose if we refuse to fight, but we should be extremely worried about what we will lose if we don't. We can't continue to try to bolster our ranks with the sunshine soldiers. It shouldn't matter to us that not every white Christian in America is a member of the council. We don't need everyone. Never has there been a revolution that was populated by the majority. It's always that tireless few, as Jefferson said, came to lighting brush fires. And we must engage our enemies with, as the Bible says, a perfect hate. Hate gets a bad rap. There are some things that we should hate. And there are some things I do hate, and rightfully so. And we must be eternally vigilant and carry ourselves with courage and valor until God himself calls us home. And the day may come, and our desire that it will, when we might have to prepare ourselves to make that Stonewall Jackson type sacrifice. But until then, the very least, look at Forrest. What did he do? The very least anyone can do is support the few organizations that are out there providing real and honest leadership for our people. I don't host the political cesspool to get rich, God knows. nor do I do it because I particularly enjoy celebrity. But I don't host it to get poor either, and our show is producing positive results for European Americans. And if you deem our efforts worthy, please consider donating financially. I mentioned Dr. Tom Sunic earlier. He's got a great book out there. You're going to hear from him later. He's going to be addressing the topics, some of the topics addressed in his book. He's selling those books. We've got actually a comic book here. It's called The Democrats Want to Raise Your Children. And it's kind of an underground cult classic. It was an oldie but goodie. It was produced back in 1992 to commemorate Bill Clinton's first election to office. And there's a very limited number of these left, and they're for sale too back there, along with the council T-shirts and all that other stuff that you should be buying. But go back there. If you want to make my birthday happy, please buy this damn coloring book. They're back there for sale. But we're volunteers, and we need your help. The CofCC is also a volunteer organization. It is the premier pro-white activist organization in the world, not just America, in the world. So I encourage you to donate to the council, donate to our program, buy Tom Sunic's book. We need your help. And as I said, to close up here, as far as our radio show is concerned, we're back. We're stronger than ever. And this time we're back for good. We came back on June 1st. That was just 2 or 3 weeks ago. And already we've hosted live the likes of Dr. Kevin McDonald, Dr. Virginia Abernathy, Mark Weber. We had 3 survivors of the USS Liberty on the program on the 41st anniversary of the attack. No other radio program in the country allowed these heroes to tell their story, but we did. We've also had Joe McCutcheon on, Gordon Baum, who was on to promote this council. I know a few people here today. This is their first council experience, and you're here as a result of the promotion we did on the program, and thank you for coming. Tomorrow, when we go home, we'll be back on the air live at 4 o'clock, and Dr. Tom Sunic will be our guest, as will Dr. Paul Craig Roberts. These are elite guests appearing on a talk program that's second to none, and we're bringing these guests to you, and it's our honor to serve you. And you can listen to the Political Cesspool. They actually broadcast our show every night in Memphis. Every night they